and tougher, till the point where, like he did in one of those last halts, you go to kind of give him this shake on the bit, and he was worried about it. And it's, what I always say with that kind of thing is, they have to emotionally connect. Yeah, good. They have to connect emotionally to the correction. So if I use the whip and he's, I don't care, or I pull on him and he goes, I don't care, that's not an emotional connection. So that means there's no thought in his body to change what he's doing. So I might be pulling or kicking to get him to change, but he doesn't, in his mind, he's not thinking he needs to stop doing that or get away from that feeling. Yeah, good. Super, super.
This feels pretty good.
Way good, yeah.
So this is enough activity.
Yep. Canter is going to be a little easier than the trot because the canter mechanizes the hind legs more under the body to begin with. So the canter will always be on one like him, easier to keep or get the RPMs where you need it. That doesn't mean later, like in the middle of the pirouette, it's going to be easier than a trot half fast. But as a general rule, the canter will activate and engage a little better than the trot will. I mean, just the gait of the canter sends the forehand higher. Every stride than the trot sends the forehand outward. So it's way easier to get the hind leg to kind of make that little pelvic tilt and angle up underneath the body better. Yeah, it's great. Which is all the activity is for, right? I only need them active to get the hind legs to tuck under so that I get that tilt to pelvis, which is basically saying then the hind legs engage, which leads me to being able to collect and put the croup lower and lower. It's nice. Trot again when you're ready. Good. And I would kind of, like you're doing, just quiet but intense, basic work about going, I want to just feel like I can trot and you're active. I can canter and you're there for me. I could throw in these transitions without a lot of work or thought behind them. Nice, good, love that one. That had more of the airplane landing quality. And he also lands in a better activity. And a walk again. Good, super. Yeah, better down
Just
transition
reminds me
too.
of something.
And then a long way
Yeah.
again. Nice. I definitely there
Gee, I
wasn't
wonder what
one
that
time where he kind of gave me a look of he's worried or confused about what you're doing. He gives me that look more like you can just, he's not shying or anything, but you can see him. He kind of wants the control of his own body so that he's kind of the boss of him. But he's not doing it in a malicious way. He just doesn't want to give up that last little bit. And so then when you those couple of times you challenge him, you could see that little worry where he'd scoot forward or kind of go, wait, like all of a sudden he kind of checked back in where he wasn't trying to be in control, and then he gets a little worried that he's giving it up. But I would go, that's where I need you living a little bit more. And I'm not one of those times you reacted adversely. I need your attention a little better overall long term. So I'm going to keep quietly just rattling you out of that state where he's not sleepy, but inside my aids, there's that little delay, hand or leg.
Yep.
And there's that little sleepy nature where if I can stay a little delayed or internalized, then I can keep control more of my own body if I do want to shy or spook or, do something at a certain point.
Yeah.
And that could just be his nature is, like, I find horses, they're internalizers when they get worried, or they're externalizers. Like people are introverted or extroverted. They act different, but the idea is the same. When something kind of goes wrong or stress gets loaded on, he looks to just kind of shrink back into his own body. And other ones who think they get a little stress on and they get hot. They start throwing their legs around, they start jumping in front of the leg, they start doing more of the adrenaline kicking in. So when they're a little bit internalizing, I'm always going, you gotta get it out. Not get it out in a nasty, scary, horrible way, but you gotta just get moving, get your legs firing, get your back moving, get all that going.
Okay.
I love them though, like super body, balance, mover, all of that. Like I said, the only little thing I'm thinking, I definitely am gonna have to probably antagonize them a little bit right now about the activity level. Exactly. And within that going, but you can't get strong in my hand. That's all those transitions. And so right now, that's what I say, like it's a little antagonizing, kind of like being in the backseat of the car and poking somebody over and over. He needs to scream. He needs to go, stop poking me. So you can go, okay, you stay at this speed, I'll stop poking you.
Okay.
And then it has to be, don't pull on me, I won't pull on you, or give you a little shake of the bit if when I close my hand, you come back. And that's why I said, like, you want that little bit of emotional connection. Or not upset, you don't want to rattle them, but you do want to get them to emotionally connect to those corrections. So, like you did, if you kick them or tap them and you don't get a reaction, hit them harder. If you half halt him and he lies in the hand, give him a little tug back once or twice.
I don't feel like I have a lot of accordion.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't have, I can't come forward, come back, and stay in the balance and in the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I said, like, that's just that little internalizing. Spine holds a little too still. And then there is a lot of, and I know the feeling, like from the ground, you watch him and I'm seeing his body go through this huge cycle of accordion-like nature. It's very in there. But the feeling is, because of those little delays, it feels too sleepy, too still. And so that's where I'm going, we gotta just kind of wake that up. And it's not so much on one like him, I gotta actually go forward and back, because his body's actually doing it, but it's not doing it in a loose nature. And yes, and it's just the spine holds. He just holds a little still, self-protective, normal for horses to do. And what I always think with that, like the looseness is this feeling of instant response to my aids, leg or hand, and it runs this AC/DC current. It goes both directions at all times. It's just this back and forth ebb and flow. And so the minute they kind of lose a little bit of reactivity on either end, and they get a little sticky, they're not loose anymore. Whereas if I were to close my hand or my leg and I got an instant but not overreactive reaction,
Okay.
I'm saying, or he's saying, you put an aid on and it travels through my body basically instantly, that's a loose body.
Okay.
That's a body that's allowing workflow to run its course and travel. Whereas if there's that reaction, I kind of put an aid on, and the reaction in the body is, give me a second. That's not a loose body. That's a body that's putting a roadblock up to that aid that's in there. So a big part of that looseness and that, I know exactly the feeling you're wanting, that the big part to that is just about getting them hyper-reactive to things.
Okay. Well, we're finally to a point where we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, Liz in the blue jacket helped me with him after he turned me into a human lawn dart. You didn't dare stop the first people he was literally
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was piling. So we've just gotten to the point
Starting to get there, yeah.
some pressure on him and start asking.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know, until about the last 3 or 4 months.
It just sometimes is like that with them, you do have to kind of wait for them to give you the rideability level.
Yeah.
Una was, not like that in that, but she's very similar with her body there's that little delay in there, which means they're not as loose, so that even though you sit on them and you're like, wow. You look at them from the ground, you're like, wow. You sit on them and you just go, come on, this doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, just one.
There's just this little stickiness that's in there.
Yeah.
And it is something where, like I said, they do sometimes, like, you can't get after all of them at 3 years old about it.
Right.
Others, you can, like Una, you could at 3 years old start addressing her because she didn't have any of the other nature, so hopefully works through it sooner. My black horse, my other one, that one, she's same age now, been under saddle 1.5 years. Started her at 3. Just now, literally the last few weeks and months, I've been able to kind of push at her. It's taken 1.5 years to lay the groundwork. Una, 3 days under saddle, you could kick her, you could kind of go, come on, girlfriend, like let's get this going here. And she was just happy-go-lucky about it the whole time. They're all just a little different like that.
Yeah, the whole last year's been quite a negotiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mine too. Like I say that about my black horse. Everybody always thinks the black one looks so calm because I don't put I just can't do anything to her because the feeling she gives you is I am gonna unload you. She's never done it, never tried, but the feeling is like, shit man, this horse has a lot of power and a lot of ability. And everybody always goes, oh, she's so quiet and relaxed. And I'm like, That's because Dad never puts his leg on or touches her mouth, so she's
Yeah.
quite a happy camper right now.
He's now starting to follow.
Yeah, yeah. And with them at this point now, the sooner and the more you can put on in a fair way, the better, because it gets the body to kick through it sooner. My thought was with that is always, if they log in years of miles of working a certain way, that's counterproductive or maybe neutrally buoyant to the work ahead. They have every right to be frustrated by the fact we changed the rules, a few years later and go, now I want this from you, even though I let you be like this, which, like I said, kind of, you can think of as neither harming or benefiting, neutrally buoyant. You just let them cruise, but then all of a sudden one day go, okay, cruising time's over. That's just as bad as going, you can be here and now I need you here. It's the same mindset. Whereas if every day you can just go, we're heading to Kansas. So even though we might be looping and doing all of this, I got to keep making sure at the end of every day I'm a little closer to Kansas than I was yesterday.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really like them though.
Thank you.
Quite a nice type.
Yeah, I'm starting to like them.